Let's see, because I don't think that started. Okay, so if you did not get the opportunity to respond to 2 others on that persuasive essay peer review discussion board, basically just get that finished up by midnight tonight. But I think since we took those extra couple minutes, I think everybody had the opportunity to. So the only ones that will need to go to the discussion board and do that are your classmates that aren't actually here right at the moment, but will end up watching this video later. So finish up that discussion board by midnight, and then you guys utilize the feedback that you've been given by each other, from each other, okay? Okay, so let me show you just a couple of things. I know, we've only really just touched on a little bit of MLA review and APA review, and we have that new version of APA that came out just last October. And I don't know if I told you guys, but I think MLA is going to give us a new update, a new version. I'm trying to remember. It seems like it's like at the end of this semester. So I don't know if they'll, as a college-wide, if they will try to incorporate that for the fall or what they'll do there. But if I hear anything, I'll let you know, okay? So in regards to APA, so all of my APA friends, I actually went and looked it up because I couldn't remember. I'm one of those individuals who's more comfortable with MLA than APA. So I wanted to double check and make sure that I was telling you correctly on the discussion board. But for APA, let me load this up for you. This is the actual APA style website. Okay, this is the official website. So when you guys are setting up your cover page, this is what it looks like. Okay, for students, you guys don't have to have a running head, so that's kind of nice. That was one of the nice updates for APA 7. But make sure on your cover page that you've got your title in bold. Okay, APA gets to bold, their fonts. We don't get to do that in MLA. So bold your title, give just a little bit of space between your title, then go to your name. You're the author. Oops, hang on. Why is that doing that? Okay, take to the chat box really quickly. I want to make sure that I have everybody. Can you guys all hear me? Take to the chat box and let me know. Okay. I get paranoid every once in a while, so I just like to check in. Okay, so APA cover page, you guys are the author, so make sure you have your name, the affiliation or the school, so it would be NWTC or Northeast Wisconsin Technical College. Put our course name, put my name, and then put the due date. So that's what's supposed to be on the final draft of your cover page for your essay, okay? Again, this is right there on the APA website. They're the official, they're the ones that make the decisions on all the formatting and everything, okay? So I think I had mentioned that on some of your rough drafts. Again, these are rough drafts, so I didn't expect everything to be there, but I wanted to make sure that I went over that just in case we hadn't gone over it in class already. So before I show you anything else, does anybody have any questions over what we just did, over maybe things that you saw in another classmate's paper and you're like, oh, I forgot to do that, or anything like that? Take to the chat box and let me know. Okay. By the way, you guys, I have to say, I think we've already established I'm a nerd and whatever. Your paper topics are excellent. Like I'm genuinely excited about the topics that you have. They're super interesting. And I'm impressed with what I've seen as far as research. And we're going to be talking about research in just a little bit, but way to go. Keep going. You guys you're doing really, really well. So Pat yourselves on the back. Okay, let me take you into the assignments tab, okay? So let's go. So assignments tab, I'm going to scroll down to that persuasive research essay, okay? So persuasive research essay, scrolling down, all the way to the bottom. Okay, so before class next Friday, I need you guys to submit another rough draft, okay? This rough draft, for next week's rough draft, please make sure that you are in what we call a stage of development here, okay? We want, when I say we, it's like the royal we, I'm talking about myself. Major arguments are all indicated in your thesis, okay, at the end of that first paragraph, which from the drafts that I'm reading right now, most of you have that started. You just need to expand that introduction there. Some of you, you just kind of have that short intro. Give us a little bit more, okay? Arguments include topic sentences that illustrate like what's being discussed in the topic, okay? So each body paragraph needs to have that topic sentence that's kind of like, hey, psst, this is what this paragraph is about. Your essay, just the essay part of it, needs to be at least 10 pages in length, okay? That doesn't include a cover page or the sources page at the end. You need to have, by next Friday, you need to have at least 8 sources that are like integrated into your paper. So you've either quoted them, paraphrased them, summarized them, and you have included your in-text citation. That would be, like listed there on your sources page, okay? And somebody actually asked an excellent question. So 10 pages double spaced, yes. But I'm confused on the single spacing issue, if you could clarify that one for me. For APA, if we go back here and look at our title spaces, our cover page, that is double spaced as well. Oh, I see what you mean. Okay. Yes, you are correct. So make sure that your entire document, cover page and sources page, everything is double spaced. But you're correct. If we ended up like single spacing, it would be shorter, but we're double spacing. Makes it much easier to read. Our brains can comprehend the information better. And this isn't just me talking, this is science talking. Our brains can read through the information and grasp it better with the spacing in between the lines. When it's all like squished together, our brains kind of go, ha. So yes, please double space. So what's going to end up happening is next week is going to be interesting. It'll be different than any class session that we've ever had. In that you only need to show up for your appointment time. And I'm going to show you your appointment times in just a minute. Because next week is all about instructor conferences. So this is our opportunity for some one-on-one instruction. So if you're struggling, if you have questions, that'll be our opportunity to talk about that. It'll be my opportunity to pull up your grade book and say, hey, did you know this was missing? And you're going to be like, well, I submitted it. I even have this receipt submission that said, hey, I submitted it. Stuff like that happens. So it'll give us an opportunity to discuss that. So let me show you the schedule for next week here, okay? I'm going to load up my Word document and hopefully, whoops, nope. Let's go here. Oh my goodness. I have too many windows open. Give me a moment. I yell at my children all the time for having too many tabs open on their computer, but yet I have so many drafts of things open everywhere. Okay. So on the screen, you guys should be seeing, it's just a Word document right now. I'm going to end up posting this in the persuasive essay folder. So we are having instructor conferences. Next week, You will only be required to sign in for your 15-minute time slot. That's it. And the rest of the class time you need to utilize by working on finishing your research paper. And if you guys recall, you have to give a 5-minute presentation on your paper, our very last class session together. We're going to talk about that some more in just a minute. So next week is really your opportunity for a little bit of time for me and your opportunity to put in some good crunch time, some good work time to get things done. Okay, so next week, I am following this format right here. So at 9 o'clock, excuse me, at 9 o'clock, Ella would be the only person in the classroom. Okay. Pardon me. We're still using the virtual classroom link. I'm not making you go to like my virtual office or anything. So you will go to the virtual classroom link, sign in at your time. So Ella would sign in at 9. Ella and I would finish up right about 9:14 and a half-ish. So then that way, when Bailey signs in at 9:15, we're ready to go. Okay. So be respectful of your classmates' time. So at about 9:14, Ella's going to sign out. Bailey's going to sign in. And at about 9:29-ish, Bailey's going to sign out, then Justin's going to sign in. So does that make sense? Take to the chat box and let me know if I'm confusing you at all. But, oh good, I love thumbs up. Yay. So yeah, you only have to attend next week for your 15-minute time slot. But I expect you guys, why does this keep doing this? Okay, for some reason my computer settings keep going weird. So even though you're only signing in for 15 minutes, you're still supposed to use class time to work. Okay, so don't think, woohoo, I got a free day. You still have a lot to do. You've got to finish up the research paper, and let me come back here. If we go back into the assignments folder, all the way down to the bottom, we have this persuasive research essay presentation. So I just briefly mentioned this, I think last week or the week before. You guys are going to put together what we call an oral defense of your final research paper. So you guys need, I keep forgetting to take out that 5 individuals of your choosing. That's when it's an online class. You guys need to create, let me open this, a visual for us. So use PowerPoint, Prezi, Google Slides, whatever. Okay. And there will be, I don't know if the link is active here. Nope, I just realized the link is not active here. There will be a link in there for you to share your presentation with me before class on the 7th. That way it's so I can load it up. So I get to be like your assistant basically through this presentation. So you'll have your visual all set, submitted. I'll load it up. I'll be the flip through the slide person. So you'll get to give your presentation and you'll just tell me next, or next slide, and I'll go through. That seems to be the best way to do that versus trying to open it up for you to share. There seems to be glitches when we do that. So you guys need to, by incorporating a visual here, you are going to give an oral presentation regarding your final research paper. Okay. I don't want you to pick up your paper and start reading your paper to me. That's not what this is about. Basically, you're presenting your argument, maybe talking about some of the evidence that you found that you thought was, that were really, really interesting, and you felt really gave good foundation to your argument. Okay. You guys should develop a complete and thorough outline that includes, you know, like objective statements. So an intro, clear body points, sections, you know, really, really nice, clean outline. And then also include a conclusion and transition statements between your sections, okay? But your presentation only needs to be 5 minutes. So keep that in mind. You're not giving a 20-minute presentation. We don't want you to give a 20-minute presentation, okay? Quick 5-minute presentation. At the end of your presentation, we'll have the opportunity for you to answer 1 or 2 questions, and then we'll move on to your next classmate, okay? So what you will be doing along with that presentation is you're going to submit your outline. You are going to do a self-evaluation form. So you see there's this great evaluation form up here. You're going to do a self-evaluation form, and you all individually will have to do an evaluation of a classmate, which I will assign to you guys. Okay, so you will end up submitting all of that stuff here, your self-evaluation, your outline, and your evaluation of a classmate's speech. Okay. Here's a really good example of an outline here, a couple of good examples of some outlines. So create a visual, create an outline. You're going to give yourself a self-evaluation, and you're going to evaluate a classmate. So you'll end up submitting or preparing 4 things, okay? And those will all be given on our very last day of class, which is the 7th. Make sure I'm telling you right. Wouldn't that be fun if I told you wrong? Yeah, 7th, okay. That would be great if I said it was 7th and like we were supposed to go for 1 more week. Okay, so the 7th is when we will be giving those presentations. And all that information is in this assignment folder, which I obviously need to change some of the wording here, and I need to make the visual link available for you. So that's something that you can kind of be working on as you're working on your paper. So like if you're writing your paper and you're like, oh, that was a really good fact, that was a great source, kind of make a note somewhere and share that source with us when you're talking about your presentation, okay, when you're talking about your paper. Do you guys have any questions on what you need to do with this presentation? Remember, you're not supposed to do any additional research or anything like that. All you're doing is giving us a taste of your paper, okay? Seriously, 5 minutes. Doesn't have to be longer than that, okay? Okay, and I'll make sure like before the end of class today or by the end of class today that I've got the wording fixed in here. But yes, before class on the 7th, you will need to submit either the link to your Google Slides, the link to your Prezi, or, you know, however you want to do it. But I will need your visual. So you will be able to present on the 7th, okay? Okay. I'm going to give you guys a break really quickly, and we'll jump into the next thing. I feel like I need you to move away from your screens before your brains explode or anything. So, hold on, I'm just looking at my time here and I'm trying to gauge this. We started at 9, okay. Let's do like a 10-minute break because I'm going to be leaving the end of class time for you guys to work, okay? So let me pull up a timer. Let's do 10 minutes. And then, like I said, you guys will have the end of class to work. And so then that way, if you need to take a bathroom break or anything like that, you'll be able to do it. Okay, so there's a couple of questions that have popped through in the chat box. I will address them after break because that's actually what we were going to talk about. Okay, so I'm not ignoring your questions. It just applies to what we're going to talk about next. Okay? Okay. So go take a break and then we will address your questions. Okay, so one of the questions that was asked, and we're actually going to talk about sources right now, but the question was asked, are we limited to the 12 sources that we did for our annotated bibliographies, or can we incorporate others? You absolutely can incorporate others. I don't want you guys to feel like you're super glued into the sources on your annotated bibliography, because it's very possible that after you found all those great sources for your annotated bibliography, that you come across another source that is just amazing. So the annotated bibliography is obviously for your benefit, because it helps you keep track of your research. It helps you keep track of the sources as you're going through and you're trying to find things for your paper. And by giving that summary and that evaluation, I mean, I don't know about you, I can read something and then a week later go, which source was that? So the annotated bibliography is it's like a glorified Post-it note, basically. It keeps that information for you. So please don't feel that you are limited to what you have on your annotated bibliography, okay? All right, let me take us back into Blackboard so we can kind of discuss the research paper a little bit more, and more specifically, we can discuss sources, okay? So I'm gonna go back to the assignments folder. Maybe, there it is, okay. And I'm gonna go back into the persuasive research essay folder. All right, so remember we had watched that video of how to stretch your papers out, if you have a longer essay, which, can I tell you how impressed I was? Some of you guys use narrative, some of you use like comparison contrast, and those were just on your draft. So good job with that. All right. So let's just look at the requirements here of your paper. I'm moving things around on my screen that you can't see. Okay. So your final draft needs to be 12 to 15 pages of double-spaced writing. So the second rough draft that you're submitting for next week when we have our paper conferences, you're just required to have 10 pages of writing, because that's just another rough draft. But your final draft needs to have those 12 pages. Okay, so please keep that in mind. If you're writing an MLA paper, you would have 12 pages of a double-spaced writing plus a works cited page. Okay, if you were writing an APA paper, it would be 12 pages of double-spaced writing plus a cover page plus your references page. Okay, so kind of keep that in your brains as you are putting this paper together. Okay. So note the big, bold, shouty capitals. Not meeting the required page length will automatically reduce the final essay grade by 10%. So sorry, but yeah, I need you guys to hit that page requirement of writing. But remember, please remember to double space, okay? I wanted to just touch on the sources a little bit. So you guys you've been working on your annotated bibliographies. Tonight, the rest of your annotated bibliographies are due. Okay, so I think at this point, you guys submitted 4 annotated bibliographies. Okay, do you guys remember, as far as the bare minimum, how many annotations you're supposed to have? Like how many sources? Okay, awesome. I see a couple of you put it in there. Just see if anybody else. What's the bare minimum you have to have for your annotated bibliography? Bare minimum of sources. Very good. 10. 10, 10, 10. Okay, so tonight when you submit the final draft or the final annotations, you should have a total of 10 sources. Okay, For the A, if you want to get that high 100% woohoo grade, how many sources are you supposed to have? 12. Very good. Okay. And in a moment, we'll talk about the annotated bibliography a little bit more, but I just wanted to quiz your brains here, okay? So, as far as your research paper, you have to have at least 10 sources, okay? So, I mean, right there, if you have 12 sources for your annotated bibliography, you know that you don't have to use all those sources. But for the research paper, there should be 10 sources on your works cited or references page and 10 instances in your paper, of the sources, if that makes sense. So you need 10 cited sources. No less than 3 of them can be internet sources. Okay. And that could be, finding them through, I just lost the word. Credible. Thank you. My brain kicks in. Credible internet sources. Okay. So you are allowed to use the internet, but please make sure, you're not citing Wikipedia. That's not going to fly. Okay. You can use Wikipedia to help you research, but you can't cite Wikipedia as a source. Usually like .org, .edu, .gov, all of those are places that we definitely know are credible. We can, they have the experts there. No less than 3 print sources. So all those times that I've had us go to NWTC's virtual library, the online library, and you have research through like EBSCO and all those are actually print sources. So even though you found them on the internet, if we've gone through EBSCOhost, we can qualify those as print sources, okay? And then you guys need to have what we consider a primary source. And that's what I want to make sure that you guys understand what a primary source is, okay? So in this assignment folder, if you scroll and scroll and scroll, there is a link on the bottom here. And it actually takes us to a resource on NWTC's library page. So I'm going to click it. If you're following along with me, you might want to click it because there is an activity that I'm going to ask you guys to do once we've discussed, okay? So the link is there in the Persuasive Research Essay Assignment folder. It's the very, very last thing in that folder. So I'm going to click on it. And then you got to do this because it's telling you, hey, we're going to take you out of Blackboard. Okay. So what it does is it takes you to this page right here, talking about research skills. Now, I just want to look at this module number 2. It's talking about sources of information, okay? Now, normally, okay. So it's going to take us here. I want to look at this video right here. This is what we're going to look at together. I think it's like a 2-minute video, and it talks about the types of sources. So let me click on it. Okay. And that's okay. We can get into here. You have to have your NWTC ID number, student ID number. It should load up. Okay. Let's say I tested it last night and it worked up just fine. Woohoo. Okay. So like I said, I just want to show you guys this video. It's 2 to 3 minutes and it talks about the different types of sources. So we have primary, secondary, and tertiary sources. So keep that in mind as we are watching this video. Oh, it's 4 minutes. Sorry, I'm really bad at remembering those things. I'm going to full screen it. Let me get rid of my face here really quickly. I'm going to full screen it. Probably pause it after a couple of seconds, and then I want you guys to take to the chat box to let me know that you are seeing and hearing okay. So let me do this. Put closed captioning on. I want to get rid of... it's not going to let me get rid of the transcript. Okay. Talking to myself.
When researching a topic, it's important to consider a variety of resources.
Okay, take to the chat box just really quickly. Let me know, yes, you can hear, or no, you can't hear, or whatever. All right. Awesome. I love your guys' random comments. Okay, so pay attention to the types of resources.
Even ones you previously may have overlooked. Regardless of its format, information is produced to create a message. Familiarizing yourself with multiple resources will help you understand what information is available and how to use it. In this video, you will learn how to select a resource appropriate to your information need, the importance of analyzing a resource's capabilities and constraints, and how to determine if a resource has quality information. The type of research you're doing and where you are in the research process will help you choose an appropriate resource, which is why it's important to understand your information need. For example, say you chose to research the impact of early childhood literacy on children with language disabilities. You might be inclined to immediately start reading research studies and journal articles. Since this topic is so focused, however, the best first step is doing background research.
That's not the right one. I knew that wasn't sounding right. I apologize. Give me a moment. Oh, that's why. Blonde moment. Sorry about that. I need these ones right here. Primary and secondary sources, okay? Sorry about that. I knew that was not sounding right. Okay, well, see, that one is 2 minutes long. All right, so I'm just gonna let it go. Let me know. Take two. Let me know if there at any point in time there's problems with the video. So we're talking about primary, secondary, and tertiary sources, okay? Oops.
Well, greetings, folks. I am Student, and welcome to Understanding Primary, Secondary, and Tertiary Sources. Yes, it's a clever title. I'm very proud of it. I wrote it. In this video, we're going to define primary, secondary, and tertiary sources, and then show specific examples of them moving from primary, secondary, and tertiary classifications. So first off, what are primary sources? Primary sources are first-hand accounts of events or research. Secondary sources list or analyze the information from primary sources. Tertiary sources compile and summarize primary and secondary sources. For example, primary sources could be artifacts or audiovisual recordings, or interviews, or they could be birth certificates, photographs, or works of art. Some examples of secondary sources are biographies, commentaries, and criticisms, as well as review articles, literature reviews, and documentaries. And finally, tertiary sources, which are encyclopedias, dictionaries, and almanacs, as well as databases, manuals, bibliographies, and chronologies. Now let's take a look at some specific examples of sources moving from primary to secondary to tertiary. Primary, the painting titled Mona Lisa by Da Vinci. Secondary, an article critiquing Mona Lisa. Yes, the Mona Lisa by Leonardo da Vinci is good. It's a classic. But it's no Michael Bay. Tertiary, a database containing that article on Da Vinci. Primary, George Washington's birth certificate. Secondary, a biography of George Washington. Yes, some call Washington the greatest American president, but true historians know that it was, of course, Grover Cleveland. Tertiary, a chronology of events in George Washington's biography. Primary, Albert Einstein's diary. Could you imagine reading Albert Einstein's diary? Carry the 1, divide by 3 times the mass of the sun. He has a crush on Gertrude. Secondary, a book examining Einstein's work. Tertiary, a dictionary definition of Einstein's theory of relativity. This has been Understanding Primary, Secondary, and Tertiary Sources. I hope you enjoyed yourselves and learned something. Take care, and may all of your papers be A's.
Okay, so he's kind of a weirdo, but we get the point there. So I was going to see if Okay. So primary sources, this is always one that tends to stump students a little bit. So with your research paper, you guys are required to have at least one primary source. So a primary source is, like he said, that firsthand account of something. So it could be even an individual that has done the research, and is reporting to you of their opinions and how things work and what they think. Okay. So I was just going to see if I can get to, there was one example I wanted to show you. I don't think it is in here. Okay. It's probably in the next thing that I want to show you. So here's what I want you guys to do. Come back to, let's see here. I want you guys all to go into the assignments tab, open up that persuasive research essay folder. I want you guys all to scroll to the very, very bottom. Click on that link that takes you to that library page. Okay. Am I going too fast? Okay, I'll wait just a moment for everybody to get to the library page. Because there's a little bitty quiz that I want you to take here. I call it an activity because, it's testing your knowledge, but we're not grading, so it's fine. So once you get to the library page, I want you to click module number 2, which is sources of information. Now, it might ask you to put in your student ID and password, kind of like it did to me. So once you guys are all signed in, take to the chat box and let me know. I want to make sure that you guys can sign in okay. Yeah, it should ask for your NWTC ID, like your student ID, and then whatever your password is. Awesome. Okay. Yep. Keep letting me know whether you've gotten in or not. Yay. So glad it's working. Sometimes the library pages don't cooperate with me. And I'm not going to move on to the next step until I hear from everybody. Make sure I didn't miss one of you. Oh, okay. There we go. All right. So here's what I want you to do. So hopefully once you got in, you clicked on module 2, you signed in. So we just watched that primary and secondary sources video. What I want you to do is click on the primary and secondary sources quiz. Okay. It'll load up in another window. And it might take a moment. So I think you can bypass this. Let me see if it'll let, okay. You at least have to fill out your name. So I'm just going to put my name. See if it'll let me do that. Ah, crap. It is going to make you fill it out. So put your name, your email, put English Comp, put Hoffman. Okay, well, we'll do that. Submit it, and then it will load up a quiz for you. So I'm going to wait just a moment for everybody to get that part put in there. Okay. So this quiz, I want to make sure you understand what it is you're supposed to do, okay? So you are going to start the quiz, okay? It'll ask you a question. What you have to do is you have to read the question, answer it, select your answer, and then you hit submit, and it will tell you whether you've got it right or wrong, and it'll give you an explanation. So once you click submit, read that, then you click next, and it will go to the next one, okay? And that will carry you through. So yeah, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. There's like 5 questions. So please go through this quiz, test your knowledge on primary, secondary, and tertiary sources. And when you guys are all done with the quiz, please let me know in the chat box that you are all done. Okay? Any questions? All right. Let me know when you're done. Okay, we have everybody back now. So, do you guys have any questions on primary, secondary, or tertiary sources? For your paper, your main focus is mainly secondary and what we would classify as tertiary sources, and you just need to make sure that you include one primary source. Okay? All right. So let me go back into that assignment folder. So please remember that we need that second draft. And by we, I mean me. I need your second draft submitted before class on Friday. So that way we have something to look over together during our 15 minutes. Now, 15 minutes may seem like a long time, but it ends up not being a very long time. So make sure you're there promptly at your appointment time. And then also make sure, help me stay on task so that we don't run into our next classmates' time, okay? I will email you that schedule along with the homework like I do every week. And I'm also going to put the image here in the assignment folder. I apologize for not having it in there yet. I think I could do it, but I have a feeling that the image is going to be very large. Let's just put it in because I can always change it. All right. Let me do that right now while I have you guys, so that way I know that you guys have all of the information available to you. So as I said, I'm going to put this in there. It might be kind of big. I'll go back and change the size if I need to. Okay, so the conference times. Oh, it didn't do that right. Trial and error here. One more time. Now's where it'll probably look huge. Okay, it's not bad. Okay, so should you guys panic and go, oh my gosh, I don't remember when my time is. So next week, this is the schedule we're following. Show up just for your time slot and then utilize the rest of the time to work on whatever it is you need to work on. Okay, so that is how next week is set up. That will give you time to work on your paper, work on your presentation, anything. Or even if you have late work, though, I think this is a pretty awesome class. I don't remember if you guys have any late work. It'll be your opportunity to kind of get any of that taken care of as well. So my question for you guys is, does anybody have any research, essay, paper, whatever, questions at all? Whether it be sources, formatting, anything. Do you have any questions on how next Friday is going to run? Okay. I saw a thumbs down. I hope that means you're just saying, no, I don't have questions. Okay. Just please remember, you guys, if you need to come back and get any information regarding the persuasive research essay or any assignments, go to the assignments tab. Each one of those assignments has its own folder. Okay, so if we're not in class anymore and you're like, oh, I don't remember where that information was, go to the assignments tab and go specifically to that assignment folder. Okay. Okay, cool. A couple of great questions just came in here, guys. So the first question is there a limit to the amount of sources we could use? Not really. I mean, you have to meet that bare minimum of the 10 sources and making sure you get those specific types of sources, but you can go beyond that if you would like to. I have no problem with that. Make sure that you're utilizing the sources, but don't make sure it's not just a paper of a whole bunch of sources, because we want your opinions. We want your thoughts and your insights. The sources are just there to back you up, okay? They're like your posse in writing. They are there to help you. But this is your paper. This is your voice, okay? But you most definitely can go beyond the 10 sources, okay? Another question that came through is, does the paper have to be exactly 12 pages or can we go over? You guys can go over. Please don't write me like an 18-page paper though. And here's the reason that I say that. It can fall in between where it's highlighted here. So it can fall in between that 12 to 15 pages. Please try not to go over the 15 pages. The only reason that I say that is because I have to read all of them, and I have to read them in a good enough turnaround time to get grades in within the window that I'm supposed to. So you can go over, but please try not to go too far over 15 pages of writing, okay? Let me know if you need me to elaborate on any of that. Okay. All right. So, okay, so you didn't have any questions on the persuasive research essay. I'm going to pull up our course calendar that's listed in the syllabus, okay? If I can get my screens to work with me. Oh, what I wouldn't give for a second screen. Okay, so here's where we're at, you guys. It's kind of weird. I can't believe it's already been this many weeks. So, tonight by 11:59 p.m., we need all of those final bibliographies. Okay, so whether it be 10, 11, or 12, a total of, because remember, you've already submitted 4. So just add those annotations to the 4 that you have. Okay. So if you've already done 4, you need to do 6 to 8 more annotations, right? Because we're looking for a total of 10 to 12. Does that make sense? Because I'm not telling you to do 10 more in addition to the 4 that you've already done. Let's go to that assignment folder really quickly. Assignments, annotated bibliography. Okay. So we just need a total. Remember, a total. So for the annotated bibliography final draft that you're submitting tonight by midnight, please put all of your annotations together. Okay, so I'm coming down here. So we have 3 and 4. Okay. So let's look at what this says. So using the 4 entries that you guys have already done, put the rest of your entries into that document, okay? Because the document that you submit through here, through the assignment link, that final assignment link, I want it to have 10 to 12 entries. And ignore that. That's wrong there. Let me change that right there. This is what happens when you teach too many classes, guys. Okay. I can just see you guys seeing this later and having a heart attack. Okay, so the final assignment draft that you submit tonight for your annotated bibliography needs to have the 4 annotations that you've already written, and you need to add your final 6 or your final 8, depending if you wanted to get 10 to 12. Put them all in one document, and then remember, for annotated bibliographies, they have to be alphabetized. They're alphabetized by what's listed first in the citation, okay? Do I have... Oh, okay, good question. I can tell you that in just a moment. The question is there more than one submission? So let me see. I usually try to make sure, but I don't always. Nope, single. So we'll do multiple. We'll give you guys at least 3 attempts if you need it, just in case, because, you know, stuff happens. So yeah, that's what you need to submit. So let me get, is it this one that I want to show you? Nope. I have too many documents. I know it's here somewhere. Just wanted to go through, and I thought I had actually put it in that folder for you, but maybe I did not. I feel like I'm getting very far into my things here. Okay, give me a moment because I want to load up a document and show it to you just to make sure that we are all on the same page of what your final draft needs to look like. I don't want you guys to have any questions as to what you need to have in there. There it is right there. Okay. I apologize. I like to have all my windows open, but if I do, then there's a problem. Okay, so just a reminder, this is like just a really basic, you know, what it looks like. And it's actually a template I use for the English Comp 1 classes. So if you see some familiar sources, that's why. So make sure that you've got, you know, your full setup, MLA or APA, and, you know, in MLA, we just, hey, that is bigger. Why is that bigger? MLA, we stick to the same size font. We don't bold, we don't do anything. But the main reason that I wanted to pop this up was just to remind you, alphabetical order. So you are going to look at the first piece of information in all of your citations, and you're going to use that to alphabetize all of them, okay? Because I know that some of your sources may not have an author. It may just have a title. So if that's the case, then you look at the title name. But please make sure that you alphabetize all of your annotations, okay? So any questions on what you guys, oh, why does it keep doing this? Okay. Any questions on what you need to have for the final draft of your annotated bibliographies. Okay, let's come back over to this really quickly. So all of those annotated bibliographies need to be put in that one document submitted tonight through the assignment link by 11:59 p.m. Okay. Throughout this week, you guys, well, I should say next week because it's Friday. Throughout next week, you need to be working on your second rough draft. Remember, that one needs to be at least 10 pages long. You can go back and look at the second draft details, what I'm looking for. But make sure it's like 10 pages long. You've got your thesis, you've got, sources integrated in there, all of that. So that is due. I know the course calendar says in class, but I'm asking you to submit it just like right before class, so that way I can load it up and have it on the screen when we meet. Okay. So you need to be working on that. And then you need to be working on a visual outline, what you want to say for your presentation. Your presentation, you guys will be giving me, or all of us, I should say, not just me, we'll be doing the presentations in class on the 7th of May. Okay. Your final essay is due on the 7th as well. So those are like the two big things that you're going to be working on for the next couple of weeks. Okay. Any questions on what I'm expecting out of you guys for the next couple of weeks here? Okay, so I'm just going to load this up again really, really quick, and then I'm going to let you guys work. So remember, research paper. This says 8:30, but I don't think I have 8:30 written in there. I just want it right before class. I do. Okay. I'm going to say 9. I think I did 8:30 because my other class starts at 8:30. And you'll notice that I forgot my AMs and my PMs. That's nice. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, so by 9 a.m. next Friday, before we meet for our instructor conferences, please make sure your rough draft, you've got that good solid thesis in there. We've got topic sentences in our paragraphs, that your essay is at least 10 pages in length, and we're not including the cover page or the sources page. Make sure to double space. And that you've incorporated at least 8 sources. I really want to make sure that you guys are incorporating them correctly. So that's why I am asking you to at least fully incorporate 8 sources. That means they're in the body of your text and they're also on a sources page. Okay, get that to me before we start our class I put the 7th. Why did I put the 7th? Man, my brain's all over the place. Before we meet for instructor conferences next Friday, please take note of your time right here, so that way you know when you're supposed to join me. Come with any questions that you might have. I will be finishing off any grading that is in the grade book. So that way, if by chance you are missing any assignments, I'll pop a 0 in there, so that'll flag and let you know. And then that way you know what you need to finish up. Okay. So give me the next few days to finish up the grade book. Make sure you take a look at your grades before we meet on Friday. So that way, if you do have questions, you can go, I submitted that. Because believe it or not, there have been times where you guys submit your assignments, you even get that submission receipt, and it's not in the grade book anywhere for me to grade. So that's one of the reasons that I encourage you guys to keep checking back to your grade books. Okay. So I am turning the rest of the class time over to you. Please go look at your peer review on the discussion board. See what your classmates found, see what I maybe suggested as well, and start working on your second rough draft. so we have something to go over, okay? I'm going to stick around for the rest of class. I'll be here in our virtual classroom if you guys have any questions. If you need help with anything, I am here at your disposal. Otherwise, feel free to sign out and have a fantastic weekend. And I will see you guys during your appointment time next Friday, okay?